It's still IBrandTV Daybreak. We're still looking at the celebration of Africa Day and how SMEs have been thriving, in Nigeria and of course Africa. We were talking to Mr. Charles just now. He will be joining us eventually later on. But right now we have Barrister Jide Ologun on the phone. He's going to be answering most of the parts of our questions. Good morning, Barrister. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
All right. Just before you joined us, we've talked about, the policies that have been surrounding SMEs in Nigeria and, how much they've been able to thrive. But because we're celebrating the African Day today, we would want to take the conversation a bit outside the shores of Nigeria, to the rest of Africa, especially West Africa. Do you think small and medium-sized enterprises in Nigeria have been able to effectively take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area, to access foreign markets and boost their businesses since it was, inaugurated in January of 2021? And what do you, think could have been the challenges or the limiting factors why these SMEs are not able to access the international market?
This African free trade area concept is expected to significantly boost intra-African trade, particularly in value-added production and trade across all sectors of the African economy. But you still find that the states that are signatories to this agenda, that not all of them have been able to fine-tune their processes and nations in the EU we have before who have survived. But when you bring it back to the local environment before the African global environment, there are still different difficulties. For example, for you to play effectively and benefit from this strategic template, you must be a productive nation. So other nations in Africa are truly productive. Then some of the fears of some of the nations is that when you talk about free trade, it's going to impact on the tariffs that you collect. And because free trade area is the region encompassing a free bloc where member countries have a free trade agreement, and such agreements involve cooperation between at least two countries to reduce trade barriers, import quotas and tariffs. And you position this with the recent experience of Nigerians in Ghana. How the government of Ghana came up with some harsh policies that impacted negatively on the Nigerian business community in Ghana. Then you realize that Africa is not truly ready for this. We still talking about xenophobia in South Africa. And this concept came up March 2018. It was signed on 21st 2018. Nigeria signed in 2019. And then we are yet as a continent to really start implementing it or even show any seriousness towards implementing it. Even though the team for this year, Africa Day, is accelerating the implementation of this template we are discussing. But to what extent we are ready is a different question. And the report says that the intra-continental export within Africa was about 16.6%. So we still do more with the European nations. When you even talk about refining our crude oil and doing business, I think the Western world still holds a big chunk, leaving so little for the African continent to enjoy within the continent, and that is of serious concern to us. As of today, the global population is about 8 billion, and Africa boasts of about 1.4 billion out of the 8 billion. I did a research that disclosed that Africa has about 40% of the resources of the world. So what have we done to effectively position ourselves? And we have not done enough. then the small and medium scale entrepreneurs will just find themselves struggling within the system. So we still have a lot to do.
All right. So what's your perspective on the impact of business clusters, especially with regards to membership organizations who connect buyers and sellers, and of course its peers? What's the impact?
You know, when you talk about connecting and networking in business, you also talk about ease of doing business. And I've mentioned part of it. For example, now, let's use Nigeria as a test case. Right now, many importers have abandoned their goods at the port because of the high clearing charges at the port, the different kinds of bottlenecks, bureaucracy. So we don't have that ease of doing business in Africa. It's still a difficult thing. And Africa claims to have an Agenda 2063. And that agenda is a strategic framework for the socio-economic transformation of the continent, over the next 50 years when it was concepted. And it builds and seeks to accelerate the implementation of past and existing continental initiatives for growth and sustainable development. That means Africa, it hopes to be the giants of business in the world by year 2063. Or how soon or how quickly can we achieve that? When you realize that Europe is not going to stand still, America won't stand still, China is really, escalating the economic control of the global space. And so what are we investing? You talk of the stability in government, you talk about our political culture, you talk about our economic policies. And all these things we tell on how we position ourselves as a continent. I'm talking about nations. And like I said earlier, when you talk about this African Free Trade Pact, you talk about 55 nations of the AU. It's not easy managing and harnessing and synchronizing 55 nations to move in the direction, because they have to consider how it impacts on their nations first. But about 54 out of the 55 have signed. So let's see where we go. But we need to show seriousness. We need to show sincerity of purpose. We need to invest, and like I said, industrialization will drive this. Let's even narrow it down to the fact that, okay, there will be free movement of goods and services. What quality of goods will be moving? What level of patronage will be attracted compared to the goods that can be sourced from Europe and other countries of the world? You see, okay, what quality of services? Right now, the world is talking about artificial intelligence. And so what are we investing to ensure that we even have these goods and services that can command the prosperity participation within the business space? So these are issues for leaders. We need to look at our policies. For example, the recent Naira swap in Nigeria impacted business continentally. Not just continentally, globally also. We're talking about foreign exchange and those who do business with Nigeria. So we need to stabilize our policies and ensure that indeed we really want sustainable development. You talk about sustainability in the sense of being able to sustain and retain what you have put in place and improve on it. So these are issues. They are highly demanding issues that must be attended to.